Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reading with Ayo. My name is Ayo Lawrence, and this week I'm going to be talking about a book that I read during the holidays. I read the book Will by Will Smith. I started reading this book. I couldn't put it down. I actually binge read this book in 2 days. It's a big book, and I binge read it in 2 days. I couldn't sleep until I finished this book. It was a really good book. And one thing I loved about it is this guy took us through an emotion, a roller coaster of emotions: joy, peace, happiness, vulnerability, authenticity. He took us through a lot of great things, like life lessons that we could learn from his story. It's a great memoir. Actually, Oprah said that's the best memoir she's ever read, and I would agree with her. I think this might be one of the top books I've ever read. I think it's my one top three. I love the way it was written. It was written but with the help of the guy that with Mark Monson. And if you read any of Mark's book, it's a great book. I love the way the book was written. It was very emotional, very detailed, and very open. And I love that about the book. One of the things, lessons, I learned a lot of lessons with the book, right? One of the lessons I learned is the power of now. There's one story in the book when, Will was rock bottom, and one of the things that happened to him when he was rock bottom, he lost everything. And he was thrown in jail, everything like he has gained from his music, life. That he was a rapper before he started Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And if you didn't know him, go listen to some of the old albums that he did with DJ Jazzy Jeff. There's some good songs in there. That just make you laugh. But when that happened to him, and Quincy Jones was trying to create the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he knew he wanted to use Will as the actor. But, so he invited Will to his house for a party. And when Will got there, Will didn't know he was going to audition. But Quincy, in his very creative way, saw that Will was there, and everybody that needed to be there to make the show happen was there. Asked Will, like, hey, you're auditioning tonight, right? So he started clearing his living room for Will's audition. And Will was like, no, I can't do this. I'm not ready. I've not practiced. I've not done anything. And Will's like, no, I can't do this. And but Quincy, in his very, very, very creative way, and told him, like, do you know we have this person in this room? We have this person in this room. We have that person in the room. These are the people that are going to make this show happen if it's going to happen. And we was like, oh, but can we talk to them to give them 2 weeks? And Quincy was like, no. Quincy was like, what about if this person, when you want to talk to him in 2 weeks, is not available? That person is not available. And you don't have all the right people in the room at the same time in 2 weeks because they're not available. What do you have to wait? Then we have to wait another month. Then if another month comes and those people are not, their schedules don't align, this is the best time that we can do it. So he encouraged Will. Will put his time out, his magic on, and they did the audition right there in his living room at a party. And that is when they signed the show. And one thing I love about Quincy was, like, when those guys said yes, he was like, no, let's start signing the paper. He started calling his lawyer, started calling their lawyers, started, like, the power of now sometimes, not the power, really matters, because sometimes we procrastinate stuff and nothing happens. Sometimes the power of now is one of the great things. And one of the things I love to do is the things that I know that I can control immediately, I do it. And that's one of the things this has reinforced to me is if you can make something happen now, do it, because I think that's a great power. The power of now, I think it's a great power. People need to encourage the power of now. Sometimes we take decisions too long because we want everything to align. Sometimes our intuition should take over. And that's one thing I learned from this book, from that part of that story. I really love that part of the story. Another thing I learned about Will is he had a group of people that grew up with him, and they grew up and they came together, including DJ Jazzy Jeff and some other guys. But one thing I loved about him is he took those people on the journey with him. They were the people that helped him grew onto this day. They're the ones in charge of all the things he did. And there was a story, during Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and they didn't want to cast DJ Jazzy Jeff. But Will took it to heart and said, no, this is the guy I want. He actually fought one of the directors because of that story. And you know what came about? Quincy told him, he was the the mentor that mentored him and say, hey, this is your show. You got to tell them what you want. You got to back them up. And, you got to back up your ideas and what you want. This is your show. Your name is on this. Don't let any director tell you what to do. Sometimes we got to take that. And I love that about that story and about that part is, Will took his people. If you remember the Men in Black stuff, yeah, comes the Man in Black is one of his people that came up with some of this, the sounds, the things, and the ideas for it. Will to do that. So Will kept a close knit of people that he used to achieve some of the stuff that he achieved, and he never forgot them because they came out of feeling together and they moved together in their various areas of their career as they grew up as well. And one other thing that I love, this is one of the things that I've been trying to figure out for myself, right? Is sometimes what you want for people is not what they want. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm doing this to make this person happy, and that might not be the thing the person wants. There was when Jada was on her 40th birthday, right? And Will planned this great party. And, the party was so great. He took her to New Mexico. He planned there was a day, in each day there was an event, there was something. But there was something that Will did. He thought he was going to go out of the world and blow Jada's mind. And what he did was he wanted to show her history, the way where she came from and how she, he went back into history, did a film about her history and everything just to show to everybody on the 40th birthday, on her 40th birthday one, and and premiere that night for her. And he went back. He actually did a lot of research, a lot of stuff. And, if anybody had done that for me, I would wow, that is so cool. But Will did that for Jada. And, at the end of it, Jada didn't like it. I sometimes don't always, that made me a lesson. Don't always assume that whatever you're doing for some people is the best thing. Sometimes you want to surprise people, but sometimes you got to hold back and look, does this person want that thing? Is this what the person will want? And even in life, even with our kids, we want to, we want them to, be able to do some things that we want them to do. Sometimes we got to be careful when we're relating with people to understand that, look, something, this might be something I want, but is that something they want? And be able, even as we work through people in our careers, in our relationships with our family, with our spouse, with anybody, make sure that whatever you're doing for them or whatever you think you're going to be doing for them, that's going to make, you think is going to be a different maker, make sure it's something they want. Because this story actually really opened my mind. If anybody has done that kind of stuff that Will did for Jada for me, I would be the most happiest guy. I would be the happiest guy. But that's not what she wanted. She didn't want it that way. So that actually taught me a big lesson. But let me stop talking about some of the lessons I learned. There's a lot of things I learned in this book. Authenticity. It talked about authenticity is more powerful than mystery. It talked about how he went into therapy, so his relationship with his kids. He talked about a lot of stuff, how his first marriage failed. There's some, and the best part of it is, if you go listen to it, the audiobook was so good. He had some rhymes, some songs in it. It was a journey. The audiobook was actually more of a journey. I never run with a book, but this book I ran with it because I always love reading to music when I run. But this one I actually could run with because it was making me laugh. There was some part of it he was singing some of these old songs that he played back in the days. So it's a good move. It's a very great book. You will learn a lot from it. I learned more than what I've talked about right now. I learned more about authenticity, vulnerability, and being able to be a better father and a better husband and a better relationship with the people around me. So I'm gonna just leave you with this. Will by Will Smith. I think you should read it. I think it's a great book. Take care, guys. And I've enjoyed the rest of your weeks. Until see you in 2 weeks. Bye.